Yes, my dear sons and daughters, we are going to cover 4 pages in All My Sons Act 1, from page 22 to page 25. On the screen before you, a very important comment. It is in page 22. She's been in New York 3.5 years. Why all of a sudden? Why all of a sudden? Who can guess what was the rest of the sentence? Why all of a sudden? For sure, Kate wanted to say why all of a sudden and came to visit us after more than 3 years and a half. Yes, we completed what was in Kate's mind. For sure, you know very well that this was said by Kate to Joe. She meant Anne. She was talking about Anne. She was wondering. She was wondering why Anne all of a sudden came to visit them after more than 3 years and a half. Kate suspected that her husband knew the reason for Anne's visit and refused to tell her. Joe knew, but he denied knowing anything because he did not want to hurt his wife. He did not want to have problems at home. He wanted to live in peace and tranquility and stability. He didn't want any problems at his house. Okay, so by this, I covered answering the comment which is before you on the screen. Let's move to another one. She's faithful as a rock. She's faithful as a rock. She refers to whom? Who can you guess? Who can guess? Who knows? She's faithful as a rock. Yes, for sure. She refers to Anne. And the same words were directed to Joe Keller from Kate Keller. She was talking about Anne. So this was said by Kate to Joe about Anne. She wanted to convince herself that Anne was very faithful to Larry and was waiting for him to come. Kate thought that Anne wasn't married yet. Anne wasn't married yet because she was waiting for Larry to come, and when she visited them, she chose Larry's room to sleep in. She chose Larry's room to sleep in. So Kate, in her standpoint, had some reason to think that Anne was still waiting for Larry to come. And that wasn't real because Anne was planning to marry Chris and came to the Killers for this aim and nothing more. She came to the Killers to get married to Chris. Yes. Let's move to another comment which is also important. We are still reading the dialogue between Kate Keller and Joe Keller. I want you to stop that jail business. I want you to stop the jail business. This was said by Kate Keller to Joe Keller. Because the later here means Joe Keller hired a young boy, hired a young boy to work as a detective, to work as a detective. The young boy, his name was Bert, to tell him what Joe's neighbors say about him. Joe made the boy believe that he had a jail in the basement and he could jail anyone. Kate sensitiveness, had sensitiveness towards the word jail because she knew that the jail was the place where her husband belonged to. So She refused to listen to this word at her house. Okay, let's move to the last slide. Yes. Endeavor. I underlined for you before you on the screen some simple descriptions of Anne's personality. Anne's personality. Describe Endeavor. Anne was 26, gentle. She was gentle, but despite herself capable of holding fast to what she knows, to what she knows, to what she knows. Who can guess what does Anne know? What was the secret? She was the only person who knew it. Yes, good. Larry's letter. Because Larry wrote a letter to Anne before committing suicide, and he told her that he would commit suicide because he could not bear people talking badly about his father's crime and her father's crime. And he would take his plane and explode it over the coast of China. And he asked her not to wait for him, but to search for a better man to marry. And the letter was written by his own handwriting, and the letter was received by Anne, and it was in her pocket. And she did not show it to anyone, even George, her brother, even Chris. She wanted to keep it a secret. She wanted to keep it when she is in need to show it to people. And the time hasn't come yet to show it. Okay, my dear sons and daughters, I covered with you some parts in King Lear, the first act. I wrote for you the most important questions and comments included in these 4 pages. I wish you the best of luck. Wait for me next time. Goodbye.